So this week we're looking at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I like it. Paul writes, "Concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered to him, we ask you, brothers, not to become easily unsettled or alarmed by some prophecy, report, or letter supposed to have come from us, saying that the day of the Lord has already come." So it sets the stage. The folks from Thessalonica had been duped into thinking that the Lord had already come. And for them, that was probably pretty significant because their lives were quite a bit different than most of ours. They were getting beat for their faith. And so I would imagine that they had maybe even a greater sense of urgency than we might normally have for the coming of the Lord. And so you can just imagine that Paul had been there earlier and planted the church, talked to him about grace, talked to him about the love of Christ, talked to him about righteousness and holiness and the coming of the Lord. And he leaves and they think that the coming of Christ is imminent, and they missed it. Have you ever felt like you've missed the boat? Maybe not missed the boat like what they were worried about, but that you just have an unsettled feeling inside. It says here that they were easily unsettled and alarmed, feeling like you've missed a great opportunity. Well, I sure have. When I look at the first half of my life, that I came to Christ and started with great ideals. I was going to be God's man of strength and power. I was going to have the best marriage possible. When I had kids, my kids would love Christ and be God's man or woman of faith and power as well. God apparently had a different plan, or at least the plan didn't work out so much. And through failed marriage and parenting that I wish sometimes that I could go back and redo, moral failures, more than several, I've looked back and felt unsettled and alarmed, thinking that I've missed God's plan for my life, that somehow I've missed whatever opportunities he had called me to, where I could really make a difference in the lives of people. And so I've lived with a lot of regret and have been unsettled for many years, thinking that I'd missed the boat, quite frankly. Maybe a lot like these guys were feeling. And then one day, and I can remember it, I was at the Idaho Athletic Club and I was on a treadmill and I was thinking about my life. And the thought came to me, as clear as a bell, that these flaws that I've had as a human being are maybe part of God's plan of grace. That my mistakes were really no more than setting the stage for God to show off his grace and mercy and love. That as a broken man, the cracks in my life, my flaws, could let the light of Christ out to touch others in a significant way that perhaps couldn't even have happened had I not made some of the mistakes and experienced some of the failures in the first half of my life. And so Paul goes on to write, he called you through our gospel that you might share in the glory of our Lord Jesus Christ. So then, brothers, he says this, stand firm and hold to the teachings we passed on to you, whether by word of mouth or by letter. May our Lord Jesus Christ himself, God and Father, who loved us and by his grace give us eternal encouragement. I love that. And I love that for me, and I love that for anybody who has stumbled, broken, and have felt hopelessly lost. Because we can stand firm in the face of a broken marriage, stand firm in the face of broken health. If you're in a wheelchair and you've had a stroke, and life isn't over, we stand firm. If you've failed in your job, or you've failed in your parenting, or you've failed in a million ways morally, we can stand firm. Why? Because of what Paul writes here, that the one who loved us, God our Father, has given us eternal encouragement. And what is that encouragement? Mercy triumphs over judgment. And it does every time. That God, if we allow him, if we bring it to the light, our brokenness he takes, he marinates it with his love and grace, and uses it for the healing of a world around us, if we would just believe. it's true. Mercy triumphs over